Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and I'm finally back with another rated battle special VGC 14 ladder battle on the series where I climb the online ladder and provide live commentary as I go. So today I'm using a team of 5 Pokemon that I've used before: Charizard, Y, Aerodactyl, Rotom Wash, Ferrothorn, and Garchomp, but I'm finally bringing a new member to the team, Mr. Mime, which is ironically actually female. Now, Mr. Mime hasn't been used at all in VGC really, except by one notable player, Wolfie Glick, 2012 Worlds runner-up, 2011 and 2012 US National Champion. He used the set of Fake Out, Icy Wind, Psyshock, and Wide Guard, which is what I'm using in today's battle. I really am interested in Mr. Mime for one reason, and that's because it has access to Icy Wind, which is a really great support move. It's a move that was very common in 2012 and 2013, mainly on the Pokemon Cresselia, but now that tutor moves aren't allowed in VGC from previous generations, it's a lot harder, but Mr. Mime has access to it. So my opponent's going to be rated 1548 from Utah, and Geoff's team is going to be a pretty standard one of Meowstic, Kangaskhan, Garchomp, Rotom Wash, Talonflame, and Greninja. Mr. Mime is built to be relatively bulky, enough to, I believe, survive both the Brave Bird and a return from Kangaskhan. And I actually want to bring it into this matchup because I want to get the Icy Wind off onto Garchomp. I think Rotom Wash is going to be definitely the biggest member in this battle. Rotom Wash can effectively one-hit KO. Greninja and Talonflame can burn the Kangaskhan and Garchomp. I'm going to have to be careful of that Meowstic, though. It's probably the biggest threat, actually, because it does get access to Safeguard, which will help my opponent out a lot. So I'm kind of expecting a Meowstic and Kangaskhan lead, and to counter that, I think Ferrothorn can apply pressure right from the start, so I'm going to want to lead with that. I kind of want Aerodactyl to set up the Tailwind so my my Charizard can come out and sweep, and I'm deciding between Rotom Wash and Mr. Mime, and I really want to bring in Mr. Mime, but I don't think it's going to be the best choice in this battle, but I can actually do something fun here. I think I'm going to lead with Mr. Mime and Aerodactyl and have Rotom Wash and Ferrothorn. See, the issue is I want both Ferrothorn and Charizard in this matchup. Ferrothorn can basically win me the game, but Charizard I need kind of to nuke the... Okay, I'm going to go with Charizard and Mr. Mime as my leads, with Ferrothorn and Rotom as my backup. I don't need Tailwind that much in this battle, especially because I can get the Icy Wind off with Mr. Mime. And so by leading in with Charizard and Mr. Mime, I can Fake Out, I can Overheat, and Charizard is faster than, I believe, the threats on his team. And I do have Wide Guard to block Rock Slides from that Garchomp. So let's see what Geoff goes with. So Geoff's actually going to go with Talonflame and Kangaskhan, not what I was anticipating. So Aerodactyl would have been a very good lead here for me, but I did not assess that correctly, as I do go with my Mr. Mime and my Charizard. So here I'm going to Mega Evolve, and I am faster than Kangaskhan with Charizard, but not faster with my Mr. Mime. So if Kangaskhan opts to Fake Out my Mr. Mime, then I would just Overheat KO the Kangaskhan. So I'm going to Mega Evolve and Overheat the Kangaskhan. If he fakes out my Charizard, then I'll just get a free Fake Out onto the Talonflame. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to go with. Probably not the best of moves there, actually, because if he does Fake Out the Charizard, he's going to be on the... I think he's going to end up with the advantage after this turn, just getting some chip damage off on Charizard. So I don't think I play that to the best of my abilities, but let's see how this turn plays out. If he lets me get the Overheat onto Kangaskhan, that'd be huge. So as you see here, Mega Charizard Y is going to evolve before his Mega Kangaskhan, indicating that it is faster. Of course, I am running Timid Charizard, so I am faster than any type of Kangaskhan. But Mr. Mime's actually going to Fake Out first. Okay, so I'm going to do some minimal damage to that Talonflame. Looks like Kangaskhan went for a return this turn, so I'm going to get this Overheat off. Let's see if it's actually bulky enough to survive it. Most are not. And I do pick up the one-hit KO there, so perfect first turn for me. Surprised like Kangaskhan just went for an attack instead of the Fake Out, but I am not going to complain as I end up on the positive end of that side and effectively knock out his Mega Pokemon, which is really the thing I was most scared of on his team. So I take a huge advantage up here, which makes up for me kind of not choosing the best leads possible and not bringing Aerodactyl. Of course, Talonflame is going to be the big threat onto this team. Once I knock out Talonflame, I should win the game with my Ferrothorn, so I'm going to have to direct all my efforts in this game towards Talonflame now. I have no doubt my opponent's going to go for a Rock Slide and a Brave Bird onto Mr. Mime. So, anticipating that, I am going to switch into Ferrothorn. I could also just Overheat and Wide Guard. I'm going to go for that, actually. and see how much I could do to this Talonflame. I think that with the Brave Bird and overheat damage, I should be able to knock out this Talonflame. Let's see. Oh, Talonflame actually going for the Flare Blitz. A better play there because, of course, the Flare Blitz is boosted by the the sun. So that's going to take it out. More than enough damage with that critical hit there. That was a good play there. I nearly actually switched into Ferrothorn, so glad I didn't. It's going to take Recoil and some Life Orb damage there. As Garchomp actually goes for an Earthquake. Interesting. Not affect. Oh, and the Avoid. That's unfortunate. But not a very big deal, as I can just bring in my Rotom here. I am going to be switching out my Charizard into Ferrothorn here and attempting to knock out the Talonflame here. I definitely should have switched out Mr. Mime into Rotom last turn. There was no reason to kind of just sack it there, especially because Mr. Mime actually has a very good matchup against Garchomp, so that was very silly of me. For how good my turn 1 was, my turn 2 was not nearly as good, especially because I missed that overheat, but I'm under the impression that because I'm -2, I wouldn't have KO Talonflame regardless. Once again, once I KO Talonflame, Ferrothorn should be able to actually just close this game up for me, especially since Mega Kangaskhan's knocked out. But let's see. That Talonflame is very pretty, though. It is shiny. I need more shinies on my team, but I actually like most of my members on my team non-shiny. I like Charizard and Rotom more than their shiny forms. Garchomp, not the biggest of threats to Rotom Wash. Of course, it can flinch me with Rock Slide. I'm going to switch out first with Charizard, indicating that Talonflame is not switching out. Talonflame just going for a Brave Bird here. Yeah, I kind of just made another careless play, letting my Ferrothorn take... Oh, actually, never mind. He went for the Brave Bird onto Rotom. Okay. Yeah, if that Ferrothorn took some damage, I would have been in some trouble. But my opponent, as you see here, just did go for a Brave Bird and a Rock Slide there. Hopefully, Rotom does not get flinched. If it does not get flinched, that should help me. That should basically, not seal up the game, but give me a huge advantage. And I am not going to avoid the flinch here, so that's really, really good. Going to pick up this KO here on Talonflame, and it's going to be 3-2 at this point. Once again, wish I could have switched out Mr. Mime to do more with it, especially just kind of close the game up with Icy Wind, because Icy Wind's actually a 2-hit KO onto this Garchomp, but that's no matter, as Greninja is revealed as my opponent's last Pokemon, which Ferrothorn effectively wins the game for me at this point. I am here going to just go for a Leech Seed onto that Garchomp, and a Thunderbolt onto Greninja. There's really nothing my opponent can do against that Ferrothorn. It's going to have to keep on targeting it with attacks, but Rotom is a big threat to both of my opponent's Pokemon too, so I'm in a very, very comfortable position. My opponent does go for the Map Block, which I actually probably should have anticipated, and I should have probably gone for the Will-O-Wisp here onto Garchomp, but I'm really in the position where I've set myself up to win. As Garchomp does go for an Earthquake, Greninja going to avoid that Earthquake, but Ferrothorn's going to take some damage here. Let's see if it gets this Leech Seed off. Thunderbolt, of course, is not going to do anything to that because of that Map Block, and Leech Seed is going to hit here. Hitting Leech Seed in late game with Ferrothorn is always big, because when you heal back basically twice with Leech Seed, once because of a turn, end of a turn, and another because of a Protect, you're basically negating a lot of damage, and this is why Ferrothorn is so good in the late game. Here, I'm just going to Power Whip and Will-O-Wisp the Garchomp. Once again, I'm at the point where I've already planned out the game. Once again, seeing in team preview, Ferrothorn beat my opponent's entire team, except for that Talonflame and maybe that Kangaskhan, and fortunately I eliminated both of those right from the start, so that gave me a huge advantage. My opponent's going to double target here into that Rotom. Garchomp actually sealing the KO there. Did not expect that, as Ferrothorn goes for a Power Whip, but that's not going to be super effective because that Greninja is not... Greninja is not Water type through the Protean ability. Gonna heal back some more with that Ferrothorn, and even though my opponent can use Rock Slide and Dark Pulse, with me healing back with Ferrothorn every turn, once again this game is pretty much over. And I feel like I've had multiple games where I've just demonstrated how good Ferrothorn is, but here's just another one. It's such a good wall. There are a lot of counters to it, including Charizard and Talonflame, but if you play smart, you'll be able to avoid those counters, and that's what happened in this battle. Gonna go for a Protect here, anticipating a Rock Slide from that Garchomp. Excuse me. Greninja's gonna Ice Beam here, probably gonna do a fair amount of damage, but doesn't knock me under half. Garchomp does go for that Rock Slide. Should do basically nothing to that Ferrothorn. No, it does have the flinch chance, but once again, I do get the attack off. Gyro Ball is going to hit this Garchomp, and after Leech Seed damage, that should be a KO. As it reveals to have Rough Skin. Let's see if it has Rocky Helmet, which is a common item on Garchomp, but it doesn't. And I'm going to pick up the KO on Garchomp, so this following turn, I'm just going to be able to Solar Beam and Gyro Ball the Green Ninja for a KO and the game. So in this game, I basically had a really good turn 1 by nuking the Kangaskhan with Overheat. It's one of those turns where you kind of have to account for all scenarios, and it was kind of the best case scenario for me there where I was able to just actually pick up a KO right away. So that was a pretty fun game. Got to use Mr. Mime, didn't get to use it to its full potential, but I'll make sure to save that for next game. So far 2-0 with Mr. Mime, which is always a lot of fun. Anyway, that's it for today's battle, guys, and I'll see you next time. Peace.